Hello, my name is Andrew Gibson with Sideways 8 Guitar and Ukulele. I'm here today on behalf of Infinity Cutting Tools to talk to you about a new product line they are carrying called Odie Oil. I've been using Odie Oil on my instruments for a long time now, and I'm going to talk to you today about how to apply the finish to your projects to achieve the best results. This is Odie Oil. It's the main product in the product line. It is used similarly to a Danish oil. It can be applied either with a rag, a pad of steel wool, or a piece of Scotch-Brite. It is rubbed into the surface of the wood and then after 30 to 45 minutes buffed off. The next product is Odie's Wood Butter. It is similar to the Odie Oil that it has the natural oils, but it also contains a higher level of wax. This is great to be used in conjunction with the oil as a second or third coat. It helps to build a wax layer on the surface that will give you a deeper luster to your product. Finally, we have the Odie's Wax. It is a high quality furniture wax, finishing wax, and it can be used as a final layer and barrier for your product to bring it up to a nice high sheen. There's also Odie's Safer Solvent. This is a citrus-based solvent and can be used to replace mineral spirits and products like that that you use in your shop. It's safer and less toxic. This is a piece of maple. It's been finished with 2 coats of the Odie Oil. It was simply applied using a 4/0 steel wool pad, let to cure, and buffed off. This is a piece of walnut. It was finished with 1 coat of Odie Oil and 1 coat of Odie's Wood Butter. Same application. This is the result we got. Back here we also have a piece of Paduk. It actually only has 1 coat of Odie Oil on it, let cure, and buffed off. I'm going to show you today how I apply Odie Oil to a project. This is a piece of walnut. It's been sanded to 400 grit. And I'm simply going to apply a small amount of the Odie Oil to the surface using my finger. I don't use gloves because there's nothing in the finish that's harmful. Simply applying a small amount to the surface. I'm taking a 4/0 steel wool pad and I'm going to begin to work it into the surface of the wood. The great thing about Odie Oil is you can use something like a Scotch-Brite or a steel wool to help spread the finish, and it will also help to burnish the wood and work the oil into the wood. Get a little bit more. You can see the finish spreads very well and will go a long way. Actually, one of the keys to the finish is not to use too much. If you apply too much, it will sit on the surface and then you'll have to buff it off, which takes more time, more energy, and your finish won't go as far. So you can see I've used very little and I've almost coated this entire piece. I'm looking to see that I get a nice damp look to the wood. I don't want a lot sitting on the surface, and I'm watching it soak into the pores. And I'm just going to buff it in for a few minutes with my pad. You can continue to buff in the finish. A good place to start with your sanding would be 120 to 150. You want to make sure you remove all the machine marks from your piece and then work up through the grits. I prefer not to skip any grits. It makes my sanding go faster and I don't get any swirls or scratches from previous grits. At this point, the finish has been worked into the wood, and we would let this cure for about 30 minutes to an hour, and then we would buff it off. We've applied 1 coat of Odie Oil. Now we're going to apply a coat of Odie's Wood Butter. Same application process. Take a small amount, apply it to the wood, take our same pad, and just begin to work the finish into the wood. Same process. We're watching To see that we have good coverage, we can always add a little bit more. Always good to add than to try and subtract. This finish will begin to build the waxes that will help build a higher sheen. It still has some of the oil that will soak in and help highlight even more of the grain. And you can see it goes on quickly. We've used very little. And it's really beginning to build a nice sheen. Again, like I did with the oil, I'm simply going to buff it into the surface for a couple of minutes, help drive the oils into the wood, and help the wax begin to set up. This stage is really very much like waxing a car. You want to work it into the surface, let it cure, and then buff it off. Now that the finish is set up for about 30 to 45 minutes, sometimes you can let it set for an hour or longer. I'm simply buffing it off with a piece of white Scotch-Brite. You could use a rag, you could use a buffer with a cotton buffing pad. It really, whatever you have available will work. And I'm simply buffing all the remaining waxes off the surface. So there you have it. Odie's Oil is a very easy to apply finish. It goes a long way for your projects. A small jar like this will outlast many other finishes in your shop. You can tailor it to the needs of your individual projects by combining the different finishes. It's super safe, non-toxic. No need for respirators or masks or any of that sort of thing. One of the great things about Odie's is it works wonderfully on exotic woods as well. When many other finishes tend to not work as great, Odie's will help make those exotic wood projects much easier.